Yo, Semen Retention Squad, Spiritual Family, YouTube family, ladies, gentlemen, bots, agents, robots, Decepticons. What is up, you guys? All right. So, man, your boy's been having a week. Your boy's been having a month. I'll tell you what, things are getting very real, man. And last couple videos I made was kind of me being vulnerable with you guys about some of the difficulties and temptations I'm experiencing along this path. Last night, I made a video about this. I'll probably drop it. I haven't dropped it yet, but they threw me on the bar at work. Normally I'm a server at one of my jobs, and the bartender didn't show up, and they knew I had bartending experience, so they threw me on the bar. It's my first time bartending since I've been on SR and since I gave my life to Jesus. Not the same. I kind of realized I cannot bartend anymore. I made a grip of money, but I don't want it's not worth it. I'd easily hand that money back to have had a different type of night, because what I dealt with was disgusting on an energetic level. It was disgusting. I don't know. I don't have another way to put it. I can't seem to participate in enabling people's alcoholism and poisoning of their own bodies, and inviting disembodied spirits into themselves to animate them and give them the courage to disrespect me in ways that they never would if they were sober. So I just got disrespected over and over last night. And being that I'm on the clock and I'm a professional and I do care about the owners of the business, who are very good people, I did my best to keep my cool, but it was not easy. And it definitely took a toll on me, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I had to really do a lot of prayer and reflection, and I had to talk to a close homie of mine. Shout out to Subconscious, by the way. If you guys aren't following him, you should be. But yeah, he's been kind of like my guy. You know, we go to each other when stuff gets really difficult on this path, because there's just not a lot of people you can talk to about this that understand what it's like to have been on retention for a significant period of time, and to be essentially married to God out here, to be celibate and very serious about it, and to have women throwing themselves at you and to be saying no left and right. We are a very, very rare breed, you guys, that we are less than 1% easily. For a man to be kind of in his prime, in a position of power with multiple jobs, you know, and strong and fit and handsome and charismatic and all of these things. It's like you have your pick of the litter, man. It's like it's without sounding egotistical. It's like I do feel like I could pretty much get any girl I want if I really want to. But the thing is like I've learned my lesson. I learned the hard way. There's a reason why I'm celibate. There's a reason why I retain. And so I want to dive into the subject of energy vampires, because this has been kind of the main deal that I'm experiencing lately. Okay. And I also want to talk about faith and how that relates. So you notice my shirt, this was given to me, by the way, by another Christ follower who we just hit it off. We had a connection. He makes these shirts. He just gave me one because he liked me. And so I get a lot of compliments on this shirt. I end up meeting a lot of people that are like, yeah. And I've noticed lately what's happening to me, you guys, it's not just the shirt, but it's just, it's the way I'm vibrating. People, I almost feel like people are obsessed with me. People follow me around. People stare at me. People will talk to me and just not stop talking. And it's like almost like there's not a break in the conversation for me to be like, hey, I need to go do something else. I feel like I'm a magnet for people at this point, to the point where it's actually annoying, and I'm not enjoying it. It's not. It's like my ego doesn't want that anymore. You know, old me would have been eating this up, this level of attention. Old me, you know, would have just, my ego just would have been like loving this, but I'm hating it. To be perfectly, the level of attention that I'm getting, I'm hating it. To be perfectly honest, like I don't want it. I want to be in my own zone, doing my own thing. You know, I'm very, very, like I'm a goofy guy. I make a lot of silly jokes. I make bad jokes. I laugh a lot, but I also have a very serious side. And when it comes to God and when it comes to righteousness, I'm very serious, because I've been very close to death. I'm very lucky to be alive. I'm somebody that's almost died a number of times. I've had a lot of close friends and family die in my life. I've had a lot of up close encounters with death. I've been spiritually dead and then spiritually resurrected through the power of the Most High. So I'm very, I have a close relationship with death, let's say, which gives me the ability to have a closer relationship with life itself, right? And life itself is divine in nature. God is God-given. God gives us life, right? The adversary tries to take that life from us. That light and life, I think, are synonymous, okay? We are that light. We are that life. We are manifestations of the Most High. And when we really, really embody that truth, that reality, when that's no longer a concept, it's not a belief system, it's not something that we go talk about on Sunday and then forget about on Monday, when that becomes your 24/7 reality, and you start to live in accordance with that over a long period of time, you really do transform, right? So people, it's very easy for somebody to comprehend the idea that, like, well, if I go lift weights every day and then I put the right amount of nutrition in my body, I'm going to grow muscles and I'm going to look different physically, right? So that's easy to understand. It's easy to understand, well, if I restrict my calories long enough, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to look different. I'm going to have physical changes in my body because of the decisions that I made over a course of time. The same thing applies on a spiritual level. So we're making spiritual decisions that are healthy. And over a course of time, that develops us and we change on a spiritual level, which means we're vibrating at a different level. We're vibrating at a different frequency. And it gets to a certain point where your frequency is so incredibly powerful. It's so incredibly powerful that it's actually, you know, I've mentioned this celebrity energy concept. I made a whole video about this. It's like that, you guys. It's getting to the point where it's like, almost when I go out in public, I want to wear like a hat and sunglasses and like a hood. Like, I just like don't look like, I don't want to be seen, man, because everybody that tends to meet me has a million questions. It's like, it's almost feel like they're leeches, like they just latch on and they don't want to let go, because they feel what I'm putting out, which is this very pure energy. I'm a high energy person. You know, I train very hard in the gym. I work very hard at my job. When I'm not at my job and I'm not at the gym, I'm busting my ass either making videos, making music, producing results, starting projects, starting businesses, creating art, writing. I don't tend to stop. You know, I'm constantly in motion. You know, I'm not trying to boost myself up or brag. I'm just saying this is how I am. And ask anybody in my life that sees me, you know, I'm like a phenomenon. And it's to the point where I'm annoyed. I'm actually annoyed with it. Like, I'll be at work and I overhear people talking about me. Like I'm not I'm not in the same room. Everybody's talking, you know, go back to the bar, everybody's talking about me. And everybody's asking me a million questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? How are you so handsome? How old are you? What do you do? What's your blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, on a level, I'm flattered, but at the same time, I don't need the flattery, man. I don't need the validation. I don't even feel like I'm living up to my potential yet. You know, it's weird to be treated this way when I'm so sincere about my own growth that I'm self-reflecting and I'm looking at all the areas where I'm falling short and where I still need work and where I still need healing. Right? I'm looking at all these areas where, you know, on some psychological level, I'm still kind of like, deep down, part of me just like wants my mom, and I feel like an abandonment wound, and part of me just like wants a woman to make it okay. You know, like those proclivities in my mind, they still exist, and I'm still working on healing that stuff. You know, I still have a tendency towards maybe like wanting to avoid certain conversations, certain interactions, maybe like hide in my room a little bit too much, maybe like or maybe go too hard in the gym and not give my body a chance to relax. Like I have these tendencies that I'm aware of that I'm still working on. So I feel like I'm a very imperfect person with a lot of work to do. Yet I'm being treated all of a sudden like I'm some sort of superhuman, almost like a god or something. And I'm not saying this to flex, to brag. This is the way this is what semen retention has done for me, you guys. And it's no joke, man. Like, I hope you can tell, like, I'm not excited about this. I'm not like, yeah, this is the benefits of retention, you guys. Like, people are going to like get obsessed with you. You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that. It's not good. And also, you do not want to be like looked at like an object, which is what I'm experiencing. This is what I feel like. So it's like, it's getting to a point where I'm ready to like call it quits on service industry work, because at the end of the day, it's like, I have to hold my tongue too much, man. I'm not okay with being disrespected. You know, it's like I walk by like a table, hey ladies, is there anything I can do for you? And then they go, oh, there's a lot you could do for me, honey. You know, little comments like that. You know, I feel like it's disrespectful. I feel like I'm being treated like an object. I feel like it's and when people drink, you know, I'm talking. This is drunk people. Sober people don't tend to do this. Sober people tend to respect me, just naturally. When people get intoxicated by spirits, that's when they latch on. And a lot of people don't realize, man, they're how intoxicated they are. It doesn't even have to be booze or drugs or alcohol. You can be intoxicated by your own ego. You can be intoxicated by your own narratives that you tell yourself, stories that you tell yourself about yourself, whatever. There's so many different forms of intoxication. And the way that I view intoxication is basically, it's a form of demonic possession. To put it in biblical terms, if you are intoxicated, you are being possessed by a spirit other than yourself, right? They say you are under the influence. You know, you get a DUI, you're driving under the influence. Influence, you're being influenced by a spirit who has an agenda, it's an entity with its own characteristics that are not your characteristics. And if you ingest those, you invite those, like vampires. You know, the vampire lore, you have to invite a vampire in. They can't just break down your door and suck your blood. You have to invite them in, right? So when people sit there and they drink alcohol, they smoke, they puff, they take drugs, whatever, or they're just like eating up, you know, validation from the world, you know, or they're getting high on money, finances, you know, clout, this, that, the other, anything worldly, right? All of that stuff is all empty, and it's all demonic, and it's all basically saying, hey, demons, have at it. Have at it. It's basically what you're saying, man. And in order to be actually your true self and shine like you were meant to shine, you can't be engaging in any of these behaviors. And when you start surrounding yourself with people who are engaging in these behaviors, suddenly you become like a food source to them. That's what I'm realizing is basically how this works. So I'm having to learn as I go to set boundaries. You know, this is becoming a lesson in boundary setting for me, you guys, where it's like, you know, I want to be nice. I want to give people my attention. If people have questions for me, you know, like especially about health, wellness, spirituality, anything like that, I'm happy to delve into it and talk about it. But I'm noticing that like people will latch on to me and not let go. And it gets to a point where I'm like, yo, I need to go now. Like, I need you to stop talking now. And so, you guys, it's so very real, man. So, the way that I'm coping with this, though, I'm not letting it in. So I heard it. I'm gonna drop a couple of analogies for you real quick. So I heard this analogy recently, and this is starting to resonate with me about how, like, you know, if a ship sinks, right? It's not the water outside of the ship. It's not the water around the ship that sunk the ship. It's the water that the ship let in, right? Water has to get in the ship to sink the ship, right? So we think about this, like we're in the world, we're around all these like vampiric energy, like these succubus spirits that just want to feed off of you, right? It's like you're a ship out on that water. And so your job is to not let any of that in you. Even though it's around you, you're out there, you're floating. To stay afloat, you can't let this stuff in, right? So this is what I'm learning. It's like I'm having to figure out as I go how to set these very, very strong spiritual boundaries. And sometimes that means vocalizing them. Sometimes that means maybe quitting a job, you know, making moves in your life, certain moves. For me, what really, you know, is the most helpful thing of all is faith. It's my faith in God. So I heard this recently, actually, just this morning, you know, just to give you an example. I went out for breakfast. The lady at the table next to me insisted that she take the bill because she liked my shirt, and then she talked my ear off. And she was a sweet lady, and I put up with it, but I was also like low-key a little bit like, bro, you are being an energy vampire right now. Anyways, she told me this about faith. Fantastic adventures in trusting him. So I did take that from this little encounter, and I really like that. And I'm gonna borrow that. So trusting in God, right? So last thing I'm gonna say before I close this video out, I think trust is the key word here, right? So if we really think about trust, how does that work? Well, it's easier to understand in the context of a human relationship. So let's say you're married. How do you trust your wife? How does that happen? You know, well, it's not automatic. You don't necessarily, I mean, unless you're super codependent and you have, you know, serious issues you haven't dealt with, then maybe you will give somebody your full trust without them having earned it. But generally speaking, mentally healthy people, spiritually healthy people, trust is earned, and earned through action, right? You have to prove yourself trustworthy over time. That's how I develop trust in another person, is over time. I've developed that. I've cultivated that trust because there's evidence that you are trustworthy. You are worthy of my trust, right? So to trust in God is the same thing. It's not an automatic, it's like, oh, I can't just say, oh, God, I trust you. There's more to it than that. You know, that's why we have to be in this world, but not of it, and participating to some degree in this ridiculous ass bullshit matrix that we all know is some nonsense simulation generated to harvest our energy. We're treated like cattle on this planet by God knows what, right? It's a whole other tangent. But the point is, in order to endure all of this stuff, right, we need to trust him. And to trust him is to go through this world and to develop a relationship over time through all of the trials and tribulations, the blessings, the curses, you name it, all of it, every single bit of it, 100% of it, whatever it is, whether it's good, bad, ugly, anything, you take that to God. And the more you take that to God, the more you cultivate that relationship, and over time you start to trust God because you realize God never, ever does you dirty. Never. What God will do, though, is he'll make you feel off, right? He'll let you, like last night, my experience bartending, I felt off, man. And that's God speaking to me. That's God speaking to me. That's a gift. That's discernment. I trust that. I trust the way I felt in my body, the energy I was feeling. It's not like I'm imagining this. This is like, I trust the Lord God is showing me, hey man, old you can serve alcohol to people, but you're not that person anymore. You're in a whole other echelon spiritually now. You cannot be participating in this stuff. And if you're around this stuff enough, you're going to keep experiencing this phenomena of these vampire spirits just wanting to suck the life out of you because you are so full of life. So as we progress on the path of retention, we are full of life force energy, divine, beautiful life force energy. We shine like the sun, man, and people want to bask in that shit. People don't want to leave you alone at a certain point. So it becomes very, very, very critical that we have the self-respect and the courage to set these boundaries and say no to people, say no to certain opportunities. That's what I'm learning, guys. It's like, I've always had a hard time saying no. I'm learning this now. It's like, I've got to be able to say no to people, man, because lately they won't let up, you know? And it's like, I'm on a mission, bro. I'm on a mission. I don't have time to talk small talk. I don't have time to be gossiped about. I don't have time to be objectified. I don't care what actor I look like. I don't care if you think I'm sexy or not. I don't care about the money, man. That's not why I'm here, right? God put me here for a reason. I'm chosen and I know it. And if you are, you do too. You know it. Real recognizes real. We're here for a greater purpose. We're not here to chase money. We're not here to chase pussy. We're not here to get validation, clout, followers on social media. It's not about any of that, right? So you already know. You guys already know. You guys already know the deal. You wouldn't still be listening to me if you didn't know the deal. So I'm just reflecting back to you what you already know and encouraging you to stay the course and to not let these vampires suck you dry, man. These succubuses, these incubus spirits, they are out there and they tend to love alcohol and they tend to hang out wherever alcohol is served. So as you progress spiritually, you might want to avoid these environments. All right, just to consider that a suggestion. All right, so with that, signing out. Peace and love, you guys.